Next in India, Israel. And for this session, we are joined by none other than the Ambassador of Israel to India, His Excellency Ambassador Reuven Azar. I warmly welcome you to NXT 2026. Your Excellency, please come on stage. Thank you very much for being with us. Also, joining us on stage is Megha Sharma, Senior Executive Editor of Newsx. She's going to be moderating this panel. So we hand the floor over to you, Megha, to take forward Next in India, Israel.
Ambassador Reuven Azar, thank you very much. It's such a pleasure to have you over here at the NXT 2026 forum.
It's my pleasure. Thank you, Megha, for inviting me.
You know, I'm going to straight up ask you so many questions that the world has for Israel, for United States of America, and for Iran. What is happening at this stage? What is the status? And is this war ever going to end?
Well, at the outset, I would like to tell you that what Israel did is we choose this moment to remove two existential threats that we have coming from Iran, a country that has sworn to annihilate us. Okay? The first is the nuclear threat, military nuclear threat, and the second is ballistic missile threat. Now, what the Iranians were planning as a result of the action we took back in June is to take these threats very deep down underground, so they will become completely immune from either American or Israeli operation. So we had no choice if we want to survive, because we know that the Iranians not only have sworn to destroy us, they were developing the means to do so. And that's why we did this operation. This is what triggered it. Now, what we have achieved so far in the last 2 weeks is that together with the American forces, we have obliterated the Iranian regime army, the Air Force, the Navy, the sites of production of the ballistic missiles and other systems of war. And we also defined that we want to open the way for the Iranian people to embrace their future. It doesn't mean we are going to do regime change in Iran. It's up to the Iranian people. But we know that they are under a huge pressure coming from an oppressing force that has been killing tens of thousands of them only a few weeks ago and has a history of oppression, repression, rape, and actually terrorizing not only their own population, but the entire region, including the State of Israel. So we are on a very important crossroads, because we can create a situation in which this shadow of destruction that was not only putting a menace on us, but the entire region, this can be weakened substantially so the region can prosper and can be stable for the foreseeable future.
After the war with Gaza the war with Hamas ended at Gaza, and there has been finally a ceasefire that has been brought into existence, and there are peace corps that are also going to be put up, and there is a Gaza peace plan that has been initiated, founded and implemented by US President Donald Trump. Do you think there was a need to further accelerate and coming down heavily on Iran?
Well, as I told you, we took action only for one reason, because we wanted to remove the option that Iran had to destroy us in the future. And this combination of weapons of mass destruction and a regime that is radical, fanatic, and is stating time and again that they want to destroy us is something we cannot ignore. So Hamas was just one layer that we have to peel off from this army of proxies that Iran has built around us, and that was actually not only attacking us, but was taking over one Arab country after another. So we saw now how this regime has been attacking 12 countries that are not involved whatsoever in this conflict, attacking civilian targets, not only in Israel, but also in the Emirates, in Kuwait, in Bahrain, in many other countries. They want to send a message to the region and to the world that they should be allowed to do whatever they want. And if they don't, they had this hope to get all these countries to put pressure on us in the United States to stop our attack against them. But guess what? What happened was exactly the opposite. Because only yesterday, the UN Security Council adopted a resolution condemning Iran and putting 100, and by the way, this was co-sponsored by India, and 130 countries sent a very clear message to this regime that it's not legitimate to hit other countries, to try to block the Straits of Hormuz. It's not going to fly. And we are going to take care, and we are taking care of the security of these countries. Israel, as we speak, is flying over the skies of Iran and protecting the interests of many Arab countries and actually interests of the world, because we want to see trade resuming. We want to see a world that is functional. And right now, those who are taking action against this threat are the United States and Israel.
And you rightly mentioned, it has been the military targets, whether it is Kuwait, whether it is UAE, we talk about Saudi Arabia, Bahrain, they've all been hit. But it's not just the Gulf Arab nations that have been hit militarily by Iran. It is not just the Gulf of Hormuz, because at the end of the day, it is the entire world that has been impacted. Your energy price, there's an energy crisis, energy prices are rising up, the Strait of Hormuz, because it has been blocked, prices are skyrocketing, necessities are becoming so expensive. Again, the question in everybody's mind, when is it going to end? How is it going to end?
Well, first of all, you have to imagine what would happen to the region and the future of the region if the Iranians would have been allowed to develop nuclear bombs and tens of thousands of ballistic missiles that would constantly threaten the region. They already took 4 Arab capitals. What would happen if they had the means to continue their campaign of aggression against the region? So what we are undergoing right now is actually nothing compared to what we would have to face in the future had we allowed this regime to develop and fulfill their intentions. Now, yes, we are having some disruptions now. I am pretty confident that following the statement of the President of the United States that they are going to guard the ships that are passing through the Straits of Hormuz, that the straits will be open. It might take some time. The Iranians will try to undermine that. But at the end of the day, I think that the joint will of the United States, Israel, and the rest of the countries in the region will make this reality change. And it will change sooner than later.
Do you also think that a regime change in Iran, if it happens, or is at the cusp of happening, as we see in terms of whatever is taking place on the ground, in terms of the huge mass movement that is taking place, will resolve this crisis, will resolve the situation, the conflicting relationship between Israel and Iran?
Look, there's no doubt that the interests of the Iranian people and the entire region is that this regime will go away, because what it has been destroying our region for decades now with a radical agenda, with their oppression, with their violence, with their aggression. The question is how to make it happen, because we don't have any intention, neither has the United States, I think, to invade Iran. So it's up to the Iranian people. What we said is that it's not easy for the Iranian people to do it. People sometimes take for granted the liberty we have and us being empowered as free citizens in democratic countries to do whatever we want. But when you live in a country like Iran today, you have to have a huge amount of courage to go out against the regime. Because, as I said before, only weeks ago, they have been killing tens of thousands of people that were legitimately protesting in the streets of Iran. So it will take much more than what we assume for this regime to leave. They are very radical, and what we are trying to do now is to open the way for the Iranian people to try to express themselves, because we are going to continue to target the Basij forces and the forces of oppression in Iran. And if this regime is weakened, and if we continue through this coalition of countries that are interested in a better future to put pressure on this regime economically, militarily, and politically, then we have a chance that the Iranian people will have their moment. We are hoping for that, we are acting for that, but again, as I said, it's up to the Iranian people to decide.
What role do you think and do you hope for the United States of America to play in normalization of the situation now, the war that has been escalated?
We have achieved a lot with the Abraham Accords. The fact that we are now having relations with so many Arab countries that are interested in peace, that are working with us, not only to prosper, but also to defend ourselves and to guard the skies of the region from the Iranian threat. We are working together with them, with the United States, and I have no doubt that if we succeed in this mission, our region will be much more stable for the future. And I'm talking here for opportunities for millions and millions of Indians that now might feel insecure in the Gulf, but they will feel much more secure if these threats are neutralized. And I think that especially since India is not only the fastest growing economy in the world today, but it also has recently signed trade agreements with all the major blocks of trade in the world. You are going to be able to actually execute your plan of trading in trillions of dollars if the Gulf is safe, if the Gulf is clean from this Iranian threat. As we have, and if we don't act, and this threat continues, the prospects for stability in our region would be much worse. And therefore, I think we have to have the resolve, we have to be resilient, as Israel's citizens are, you know. Millions of our citizens are running to shelters time and again, but we are optimistic because, first of all, we know that compared to last June, the degree of destruction in Israel is much lesser. I'll just give you an example. Back in June, with the 200 ballistic missiles that Iran fired at us, 30 buildings in Israel were destroyed. Now only 2 were destroyed. So every casualty is terrible and is tragic. But our sense is that, you know, the fire is dwindling down, that we are capable of continuing with our lives, and we will continue with our lives once we end this campaign, this military campaign, to obliterate the threats coming from Iran against our country.
I also want to understand from you, now that there has been momentum that has gained in rehabilitation of Gaza. There, like I said initially, the 21 peace plan that has been proposed by President Donald Trump, there has been, you know, some hesitation that has been shown by countries, particularly in Europe, in joining forces with US President Donald Trump and Israel. What do you think is going to be in finality of this peace plan?
We completely support, I think the international community supports the 20-point plan of President Trump. The question is whether Hamas is going to comply. Because the plans to reconstruct Gaza are really amazing. We could get into an implementation of this vision of creating a Riviera. But at the end of the day, people have to understand, Palestinians have to understand that this path of trying to destroy Israel will not work. And I think that if we get this Iranian regime debilitated, they will understand that there is no longer going to be a sponsor for the cause of destroying the state of Israel. And that can be very good news for the future. Israel has proven in the last 3 years, not only that we can fight and we can survive, but we can thrive. Look, Israel's economy has grown in 2025 3.8%. Next year, we're going to grow 5%. We have attracted $80 billion of foreign investment to our country during a war, okay? And our stock exchange has gone up 80%. And the Israeli shekel has appreciated against almost any other currency. So during the visit of Prime Minister Modi to Israel, we actually have set the ground to an amazing upgrade in the relations with India, because both India and Israel have a common interest here. We want to be part of the future. We want to be those who innovate, those who succeed, those who embrace modern technology, and we have secured through a series of agreements, both in the defense sector but also in the civilian sector, that we will pave the way for the private sector to implement that vision. We're going to cooperate in emerging technologies. We have doubled our budgets for R&D, joint R&D. We have opened categories of cooperation in defense that will allow more production in India of defense systems that are crucial for the security of this country. We are on an amazing path thanks to this visit, and I want to thank here Prime Minister Narendra Modi for his vision, for not being hesitant to embrace this cooperation with Israel despite the conditions in the region, because I think our future is bright, Our future is there, and we are going to embrace it together.
Absolutely. And then finally, before I let you go, talking about, yes, you spoke about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's visit to Israel, and there was quite the bonhomie. You're talking about pushing forth the free trade agreement plan, a defense deal that has already been done. Again, when we talk about R&D, you know, obviously Israeli drones were perhaps some of the highlights when the war that was waged by India against Pakistan after the Pahalgam attack. What does the future hold? You spoke about defense, R&D, but specifically, what's on the anvil?
Well, the challenges are amazing, Mega, because now we are in the age of AI. And AI is influencing every aspect of life, unfortunately also the threats on us. So we have to be ready to develop the next generation of defense systems that will allow us to overcome the challenges that are coming against us. They might be different in geography, but they are similar in nature. We want to build our infrastructure. We are now inviting Indian companies to come to Israel to compete on infrastructure projects. We're going to invest $200 billion in building our infrastructure. We can do this together. And we have to, you know, roll our sleeves. We have a lot of work. But I think that our leaders have put a very good plan. You know, the Israeli government, just before Prime Minister Narendra Modi came, adopted a resolution that invests another $50 million just in the bilateral projects between Israel and India. We're very serious about this because for us, India is a strategic partner. We have declared during this visit that we have now built a special strategic partnership. And that cannot be just a word. It is backed with the agreements, it is backed with the commitment of the Israeli government to implement all these projects, and we're going to have a lot of work in the next year to implement all the agreements that were signed and to spend all the money that we have allocated to cooperate with India.
Ambassador Reuven Azar, thank you very much for speaking to us and being with us on the NXT 2026 forum. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks indeed, Your Excellency, for that address. Speaking, of course, about India-Israel ties and the Israel